Can everyone see my screen? Okay, cool. He came to me and asked me how to say my name. I just told him to say Sarah. It's really weird. The plane ticket with my name is actually not correct, so I'm not excited to get the plane back. If they ask for my ID, I'm fucked. So thank you, FrontEnd Con. Thank you for having me. Okay, so my talk is called Building the Web in the Web. So first thing I'm going to start with, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. And so I started coding when I was about 14. I actually have no idea. But I think I was about 14. I was born in 91, so that makes it 2005. Nailed it. And so in that time, I've never used FrontPage, but we actually kind of started off okay. The thing that I first used to make websites was Dreamweaver, which, like, if you look at it now, it's gross. It's just kind of gross. But also, first thing, half of this grossness comes from macOS and actually Dreamweaver, which was also quite gross. Like, look at this. This is terrible. Like, it looks very old-dated, but it was great. Who here has actually used Dreamweaver or FrontPage back in the day? It was great. And a lot of us actually started coding in Dreamweaver because of one. It gave us two things. It gave us the actual editor, so like the thing where you can edit the code and see like the automatic preview, and it also gave us drag and drop. So it actually allowed for a lot of us to get started in code without having any like formal knowledge of code. Like I never went to university because of, I was poor, not grades. I was very smart. But somehow these tools died. Oh, my mouse is here. That's annoying. So somehow these tools actually kind of died. Like we started having more and more complex front ends. We started having like a lot of backends with Java and stuff, and these tools kind of died because the only thing that I think Dreamweaver could read was PHP, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So somehow these tools actually kind of faded away, and editors started getting better. We made dark themes, so we didn't have to use light themes like this. So that's good. That's a good start. I think Dreamweaver now has a dark mode, which makes sense. So editors got better, and we kind of just got used to that. Like we got used to the slow feedback loop of saving something in the editor and then like going to Chrome or Firefox and reloading the page. We do have something like HMR today, but let's be honest, it only works like half of the time. And sometimes it works very weirdly. Okay, there we go. Then visual tools came. I think one of the first ones that came was Wix. Who here knows Wix? Like, I think the most amazing thing that I found out about Wix is that it's actually good now. It's very weird. Like, Wix was this website that back in the day, like, if any type of businesses had like, made with Wix at the bottom, you did not take them seriously. First of all, because they used Wix, and second of all, because they didn't even pay Wix to remove the made with Wix. So you're just like, I'm going to keep away from this jewelry shop. But Wix was, I think, one of the first ones, and back in the day was pretty good. And they took one part of the spectrum of things that Dreamweaver had. So they took the visual part. So you can drag and drop stuff, and you can make websites. Then actual tools that allow you to make like really huge, bigger websites, like Webflow came, and Webflow allows for way more stuff than Wix. I've actually used it, and it's quite nice. So designers can now code a website, which is cool. No, it's actually cool. I'm not being defensive. Like, the less paddings I have to do, the better for me. But devs are still in a code editor reloading the browser. So the thing is that happened is we got one of the parts of Dreamweaver, but we didn't get the other one. Then CodePen came. I can't say CodePen for some reason. CodePen came. I have no idea how old CodePen is. I try to look it on the internet, and I don't know. When here is use CodePen. So CodePen is the like online editor, and it allows to create small, like they call it pens, which have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But most of CodePen is made for small things. It's made a lot for testing CSS and testing small bits of JavaScript. But I wanted to build apps too. I wanted to make the small things, and I wanted to make apps. And that's why I joined CodeSandbox to be able to build apps in the web for the web. So, as said, my name is Sara. My last name is pronounced as Vieira. It's very confusing. I am originally from Portugal. That's why my name is weird. But I live in Berlin. Portugal is the one before Poland in the drop-down menu of countries. And tiny Spain, as I call it. We're tiny Spain. and I'm a developer at CodeSandbox. Who in here has used CodeSandbox? Okay, cool. Shit. Okay, so in CodeSandbox, the idea is that you can build apps in any framework or even in Node. We only support Node so far, or WebAssembly, so you can build it in any framework that you want, or just plain JavaScript, or even in Node. So basically, you're building in the web for the web, which is how I think that the web should kind of be like. Yes? Okay, so I'm going to show you a quick example. So these slides are in Chrome, so they use something called MDX deck. Is my internet connected? Yes, so they use something called MDX deck, which is basically Markdown to create presentations. This is important, I promise. It's really not. This is built entirely on CodeSandbox. So the way this works is that it actually, the MDX deck for some reason now uses Gatsby, and it builds a Gatsby website with a container, and it starts it for you, and it gives you a link that you can access. The good thing about this is that I can just give you this link instead of actually deploying it and putting it on GitHub and everything, and I can edit it automatically. So I am at, let me show you an example. Let me see where that is. I can also Command F, which is a smarter way of doing this. Maybe not. Okay, cool. So if I save, this should reload the page and automatically show me the thing, which is pretty cool. Like, it allows for a lot of stuff, and since it's basically a terminal, you can do basically anything that you can do in your terminal. This runs a Docker container. Please don't ask me anything about Docker. I don't know anything about Docker. I just know that it runs a Docker container. That's it. They told me to say these words. Docker and container. And I was like, okay, cool. What is that? It runs Node. Cool. It's a Node Docker container. See, 3 different words. Yeah, so you can do a bunch of stuff like change your theme, for example. So if I want to change my theme, which is the one that I have, and I change it to light and everyone gets blinded, that's great. There we go. And now let me please remove this, whatever. There we go. Okay, so that is mostly CodeSandbox, and I will show more as I build the demo example. So a lot of the questions that I have is, how the fuck did you guys build this? First of all, I'm not a dude. Second of all, we run VSCODE, so this entire editor is actually VSCODE. It's exactly the same thing as here, but not insiders and different theme. And there we go, beautiful. So we run VSCODE, and they're like thinking like that's insane. But think about it, VSCODE is ELECTRON. ELECTRON is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you can wrap a website in ELECTRON, why can't you do the opposite? Why not wrap the entire ELECTRON app in a website? So the only thing that there was a bunch of stuff that we needed to mock, like the file system and stuff, but it's technically the same idea. You just need to wrap a lot of FS that write to a file system. And another thing that I think I've learned as I've been working on this app for a while is that everything is an API, and there's an API for everything. Like literally, everything on the internet is either a form or an API. Sometimes when you submit a form, it actually calls an API. But that's basically it. Everything on the internet basically works as an API. And if you have a website, you can use this. Because if you have a website, you can call other APIs. I know, magic, right? Oh no, this is glass, that's not a good idea. So you can integrate with tools that you already use, stuff like GitHub, Zeit, Netlify, all of that stuff. So you can build an app for the web in the web. So you can use the browsers you already know and no sorts of setup to build an app in the web for the web. So let's do that. So I found a couple of live coding. Great. Wait, let me get this one. I got this. Ooh, maybe not. This was made for tall people. I'm average height. I promise. I mean, not in Denmark. In Denmark, I'm tiny. So, first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to go on CodeSandbox. And I think this is going to send me to the dashboard. And there you go. Okay, so the next thing that I want to ask is, should I make this app in... So what we're going to do is we're going to use this API, which is called Kanye the REST. Yeah, this exists. Like I said, there's an API for everything. It's beautiful. So it just basically returns random Kanye West quotes. which honestly I think it's the best thing that I've ever found on the internet. And this URL is just marvelous. Just marvelous. So we're going to make that, and we're going to do a bunch of stuff with it. So I have a question. Should I make this in React or in Vue? Cool. Yeah, I was expecting that. That's why I practiced yesterday. I only practiced in Vue because I knew there was a React talk. OK, Vue. Cool. So we're going to make this in Vue, and I'm going to change this to a light theme just because it's way more readable. So if I save this, and I'm going to change this to a light theme. So theme, I'm sorry for everyone's eyes. Night Owl light. Is this readable? Cool. OK, cool. So first thing that I'm going to do is come here to the app.view. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove the message, and we're still going to use hello world. And that's fine. So the only thing that I need to edit is this, so I can just collapse this. So yeah, let's just do that real fast. So let me delete this H1, and let me call this Kanye West quotes. This thing moves a lot. OK, that works, honestly. That's better. Kanye West. So you can collapse these things because it's all VSCODE, and it works the exact same way. So I can just do this. If I can click the button. There we go. No props anymore. Beautiful. So we need two things. We need to know if it's loading, and we need to know what the quote is. So let's create some data. And this is a function. And this returns... What? Oh, that's the type. See, but the error was here. That's why I was confusion. This is what happens. And this returns an object, and we need to say the quote. And I do it like this, and we need to say loading, and loading is false. There we go. Cool. So this does absolutely nothing so far. So I'm going to add an H4 that says loading. That's exactly what I wanted, yes. That makes perfect sense. And then another H4 that's going to have our quotes, but for now I can't do that. And this is going to show if it's loading. So I'm going to add a vif and loading. Yeah. There we go. Beautiful. So if I put this to true, we should have a thing that says loading. Maybe not. Maybe fuck you. Beautiful. Don't fuck you. It's good. All good. All good. No, everything is okay. No one panic. Okay. So next step, we need to actually call the API, and that's done on mounted. So on mounted, I'm going to call a function, and I'm going to say first this.loading, clothing, loading equals true. And the next thing that I'm going to do is that I forgot to say this is async, and then I'm going to say const data, const data equals await fetch copy and paste. Come here, boy. Dankeschön. I live in Germany. I need to know these things. This is all I know of German, by the way. That in airport is Flughafen. And Ostbahnhof means central station. RSP, that's JSON. So this thing that you always have to do in fetch that makes people not use fetch. I've never used like anything else on RSP. I've only used JSON all of my life. I talk like I'm 50. Point is, now we can say this.quote equals data.quote, because that's how it's actually returned here, as you can see. And we also say this.loading. Yeah, I don't use semicolons sometimes. Loading equals false. Cool, so now the loading thing is gone. Great, that means we did something okay. But we don't have any quote, so I'm going to say H4. And so if you use React, you have 1. But if you use Vue, you have 2, because every single templating language has 2, but React decided to have 1. Quote. And then React people complain, like me, and it's like, why does Vue have 2? That doesn't make any sense. There we go, cool. So the quote by itself is empty in the start, so we don't actually need a VIF, but we can add it anyway, so not to show like any empty elements. So if there's a quote, give me the quote. Exactly how I feel about life. Okay, so let's also make a button so we can get a new quote, because I think we can never have enough of these. And also let me rename this to main, just for, I don't even know why. So let's make a button, and this button is gonna say get another quote. That wasn't me, I promise. That's the mic. That was the couch. So to do this, we actually have to move all of this to another function. So I have to create a methods. There we go. And in methods, you can actually create other functions. So async get things, and this is a function. Oh no, the async doesn't go here. Async goes after get things. Async function. What? What? Comma? Oh, fine, whatever. Fucking judging me. I don't add commas. That's not how I roll. That would be too easy. That's not the Berlin way. Okay, async mounted. So on mounted, we say this.get things, which I should have called a better name. Cool, get things, cool. So this means that the function works because we still get it. And now we on click, which I know there's an easier way before all the Vue people start complaining at me, but this is how I memorized it. So Vue on click and called get things. I know there's an easier way, but I didn't memorize the easier way. So if I click get another quote, it says loading, and then it says, I'm actually this is the only sport I know how to play. I'm also I was a goalkeeper, but that doesn't really count as a sport. So if you want to know how to style things in Vue, I'm also just going to put the button, look like an actual button. I mean, that looks too much like a button. I don't like it. So I'm going to give it a height of 44 pixels and a width of 100%. I swear to God, this swivels a lot. This is a swivel. I learned this on Amazon. And a border of none. And let me get a color from the color picker here. No. Okay, that works actually. It's fine. Beautiful. Actually, not really, but it works. Background, and we have this. Beautiful. And color white. Cool. So that looks better, and that's how styling works in Vue because it's scoped to this exact component. Okay, cool. So we made this. That's cool. Can I send this to people? Yeah, sure. I mean, if I open up Safari, that you haven't, I only open to test things because it's Safari. And it's the new IE. What? So it's going to take forever to transpile modules because it's Safari. But eventually, you will get something. So I'm just going to leave this transpiling modules because it's Safari. I'm also going to stop saying because it's Safari. And so one of the things is that you can share this, but let's say you want to put this on GitHub. And have you ever tried to teach someone who's a new person, like a brand new human? There you go. It works. Point taken. Does it work on Firefox? Let's not find out. It does. My wife uses Firefox, so I have to test shit on Firefox now. It's great. So let's say if you ever try to teach a new person that starts in coding how to use GitHub, it's painful. So we put a button there, which basically does the same thing. So let me create a thing called Kanye West. No, yeast. West? I don't know. I don't write yeast. I don't know English. So, and I'm going to click create repository, and as you can see, it's doing a thing. And it's reloading the sandbox because basically it means that it made a repository for this, and now it's always going to read out of master. So if I go here, okay, there we go. I'm using mobile data. Give me a break. I have the exact thing that the Vue CLI gives me. So one thing that I want to point out is that we don't actually block you in terms of this, so you can actually just export everything to zip, which is honestly important if you want to continue doing stuff. Okay, so if I save, this is going to actually keep track that I did something, which is important when something keeps track that you did something, and I click the wrong button. And I'm going to come to assets, and I'm just going to delete this folder, for example. As you can see, we have some problems with color contrast on Y themes because none of us use Y themes. So we have to test them on purpose. Okay, so and it says that I changed this. We don't yet tell you what happened, but you can see that it was deleted and that you have a change. So cool, so just going to commit lol, whatever. So you can open a PR or commit, so which is way easier than teaching people how to actually use the entirety of the CLI. The terminal, which I like my terminal. It's very pretty. I have a lot of plugins in it. I use Hyper, which is made with JavaScript because I hate myself, obviously. As you can see, every time I open it, there's a fatal error. And I don't even know what this is. Like, it's been here for like 3 years. And since the other ones don't have pretty like colors, I refuse to change. And I'm like, it's okay. It's a fine fatal error. It's never fine. Okay, so another thing that I think is a big advantage, a big advance that has been in the last couple of years, is that we have a lot of places to deploy stuff. And so one thing we did is that we partnered with Zeit and Netlify. You actually can deploy anything that you have on CodeSandbox to one of these platforms. I mean, you can't deploy everything to Netlify because, you know, Netlify only works for static stuff. But if I want to deploy something to Netlify, all I have to do is click deploy. So you don't actually need an account. All you need to do is click deploy, which is easier than, it's the button. So as soon as this stuff, I'm using my mobile data. No? Oh, it turned on. Everything's okay. Okay, so we just wait for a bit. So the problem with this thing is that I actually built a Netlify deployment thing, so every time it like, kind of fails, I'm like, oh my god. Ebis is gonna fire me. Okay, so there is a problem with this. That's great. I'm gonna reload the page, because that's how you fix all problems in the internet. Okay, cool. Let's see what is happening. It's doing things. Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay, so, and then you get a thing that says building, and you can also claim site, which is basically like you can use it for your accounts. So another thing that you can do is, so there's a thing in VS Code. You can also view logs. And it says like builds usually take a minute or two to complete. That's not true. I should change this text. That's a lie. Unless it's HTML and CSS. So one other thing that you can do is that you can actually start like live sessions so that anyone can edit the code that you're doing, or like classroom mode, which means that you take control over who can edit, so you can, what, really? So it did, no, it's not, no. Did someone say done? No, it's not done. That was another pop-up. So if anyone goes to this link, they can actually edit what you're doing, which is basically like how VS Code Live Share works. And it's pretty cool. Like it has a couple of edge cases, but it's pretty cool. So we just have to stare at this for a while. It's starting to build. So first they sent me this without the 3 dots, and then I did this in CSS. And then they sent me the 3 dots, and I'm like, god damn it, Netlify. You could have left me with no 3 dots. I'd fix this in post. Okay, so what this does is that, there we go. So it's what it does actually on actual Netlify. So it runs npm install, and then it runs your build commands, which in this case is vucli build, I assume. So if I go to the package.json, it's vucli service build, and then it just shows up the public page, which is the page that will show you up your index and all of that stuff. So if I go here again, you can also change pages while this is doing it, like it's fine. It doesn't care, it does it on the background. Yeah, so now it's running build, which should be pretty fast. And build complete, and it creates a this directory, and that's now ready to be deployed. It's now running Netlify deploy, and amazing. Okay, this still works, that's nice. You never know, sometimes you don't touch a thing for like 3 weeks and it stops working. And it always stops working in the worst possible times. So, and then you can actually go on Netlify and get this. And you can share this with anyone you want. If you want to claim the site because you have a Netlify account, you can also do that. I don't know if I'm logged in. I am, amazing. And you can add it to your dashboard. So, the good thing about this is that, first of all, you have zero lag on the I forgot the word, feedback loop. So as soon as you change something, the other side of the page updates, kind of like Dreamweaver. The other thing is that you don't require any type of knowledge on how to set up tools. So like you just click React or Next, for example, and it will just start a next thing. We also have Nuxt and a bunch of other stuff. So you can try any other framework that you want. So I can close this. Also, this doesn't run on your internet. It runs on CodeSandbox's servers. So it's great for shitty airplane rides. I'm dead serious. I've used this once when I had 190 megabytes on the train. That was all the internet I had, 190 megabytes. Germany's great. Yeah, so I still have 3 minutes, but I don't think I have anything else to say. So I'm just going to say that if you want to learn something or if you're teaching, I think it's good that we have these tools, that we can use and abuse a little bit of these tools to teach people easier and teach people without all the boilerplate. Another, I forgot to say that CodeSandbox is completely free. I'm not trying to take your money. I get paid the same, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I get paid with how many stickers I can hand out. I also brought stickers. It's completely free, and we're actually going to change it to have like unlimited public sandboxes for anyone. And by gonna, I don't mean 2033. I mean like 2 weeks from now. As soon as I finish my PR. I'm sorry. That's my, yeah. So I either do a talk or give unlimited sandboxes. So yeah, thank you so much. I am Nikita FTW on Twitter, and have a great day. Thank you.